Good morning and welcome back to the program. We are going to be looking at our expectations from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today in the continuation of the testimony of suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya. At the close of those proceedings yesterday, and if you've been watching him progressively become frustrated, progressively become irritated, Eldred de Klerk, I wonder whether he's, sort of cooled things down and whether he's ready to continue with his testimony today. Remember, the way that he's been painted by the Commission in terms of their line of questioning as a man, a senior officer, potentially complicit in political interference and institutional instability. He's saying, that's not me.
Indeed, and I think part of his frustration is that he feels, as we've already discussed yesterday, persecuted over time. And in fact, the evidence leader alluded to that the fact that a lot of the accusations come in from different quarters, in different settings. So are you then a character who just generally gets to be in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or you've been persecuted, and who's behind this orchestrated persecution of you? He seems to suggest who it was, and he said outright that it's coming from certain quarters. However, I suspect what is also going on here is that He's built up a narrative in his mind where I think he's trying to tell us as a country that we've been hoodwinked. That his frustration is, believe me, don't believe the other side. I may not be able to fully articulate where it's coming from, but I'm telling you, they're not as clean or things are not as simple as it is. And that sets us up for who else needs to come to. That's why he keeps asking, bring more people, bring this person, please speak to other individuals, and he started to name who else might be able to support his side of the story.
How do you think he did on the central allegations against him? The fact that he was seen outside KT Molefe's house, there was a white BMW involved, he responded to that. He responded to the testimony that Witness F, which was also, we thought, quite powerful testimony that was given around dates and times and potential payments to Sibiya. He said, I did have a close relationship with Witness F, but he was never a middleman to pass money between myself and Kat Matlala. And then he basically pointed to the Deputy National Police Commissioner, or the Acting Deputy National Police Commissioner, Hilda Senthumule, as actually somebody who received money from Vusimusi Kat Matlala for this, parent surgery.
Absolutely. And look, I think part of what we need to be considering is that his alternative story to what has actually happened has to now, we need to now to go out and actually prove it. So I think we're setting ourselves up with and we have to temper our expectations of what we can reasonably expect of the STARS team that's been put together for further investigation of certain allegations and of certain individuals. Because it should be easy enough to go and follow the money when it comes to him in terms of his lifestyle, in terms of his assets, in terms of his activities and who paid for what. So, because if he has been making, what was it, $1 million a month or whatever it was, where are those millions? Where are these assets that he allegedly has? So, if that's what the task team is going to be following up, then let's temper our expectations. Let's make sure the task team is resourced appropriately, and let's see how much work and how much time they're going to be given to do their work, and how much access they're going to have to individuals to be able to do so.
Look, the story around political interference, personal benefit, corruption, that's important. I mean, it infuses every aspect of what we are hearing. But what it's also showing us as the broader public is the issue of the governance of public institutions connected to law enforcement in South Africa. And have we set the service standards? Has there been the appropriate oversight? One would say certainly not, if this is how things are looking on the ground.
Well, part of the contestation yesterday between the General and the evidence leader was around the fact that the Commission says, but hold on, we have minutes of meetings where these things were discussed. There were oversight and there is monitoring of the police. Well, who's the ones that are doing the monitoring? It should be the Civilian Secretariat, should be part of that. We should have the various parliamentary committees that should be part of that. We should have the minutes of the commissioners' meetings on a regular basis, for example, when it comes to audit trails of task teams like the political killings task teams. That should happen annually. Has it happened annually? We can't just look at the Interministerial Committee. They haven't been effective in sitting, we believe, for quite a while now. So coming back to your point, Iman, when we judge something, we need to judge something against certain things. So are these international policing standards? Is it constitutional provisions? Is it the police upholding the law? Is it ethical? And we haven't set, as you rightfully pointed or asked the question, service and performance standards for the police, either as individuals in their particular positions or as the police as an institution. What we do have, Iman, is that we know what bad policing feels like. We know what routine policing feels like. And we know that the distrust, the fear and the concern and the distance it places between us and the police, that's a vital public institution. That we know. We don't know the other side. So how are you judging? And I think Sibiya's problem is, you're all being fooled. Don't listen to these people. Not that I have the truth, but I'm telling you, what is he not telling us? That I'm always asking, where are you coming from? Not just whose side are you on, but what are you not telling us? And are you, because he's been called a criminal, remember?
Absolutely. It was Mkhwanazi who didn't hold back in his view and his opinion.
And he seems to be, and Sibiya seems to be holding back. Because they keep asking him, name names, tell us who these people are. Where did you get this from? So what is he not telling us? And
if there is that moment for truth or moment of truth, this would certainly be it, because this was something that he was challenged on consistently by evidence leader Hashim. His credibility, his consistency, his version of events. And we're hoping, I mean, it's day 3. There are only 4 days set down for this. So I think, again, perhaps that's the route, judging from what's happened already, the route, hopefully, that the Commission really takes today.
Yes, we do need to get beyond the character called General Sibiya. He needs to now start telling the truth about what it's like to be a senior police officer in and amongst your colleagues, what that environment is like, what those relationships are like, how decisions are made. He feels that there were meetings where he was excluded from, for example, given his position and given his line of responsibility. He feels, why was I not in that meeting? So not only does he feel persecution, he feels excluded. Is he the only one? Is that the only thing? Is he such a troublesome character that it only comes down to, yes, but it's about you rather than about the institution? We got to remember, we can arrest people, we can persecute them, we can put them on trial, and maybe some of them will actually face the consequences. However, we're also here needing to get a view into the institution to how that we course correct and not reform, but start transforming and talking about policing in a whole different way.
And it's also, I think, for an astute public to resist buying completely into narratives that have been set by this or that central figure and play in all of this, is to really watch for the evidence, is to, I guess, follow the lead of the Commission. They will have their report ultimately ready, and they will say, based on the evidence, this is the route to go. We already have the Madlanga task team that has been set up. It's so interesting because on all of these accusations around, whether it was receiving these cash benefits or whether it was receiving Impala or monies collected from Katiso Molefe in a white paper bag, visiting his home and so on. He's gone through all of those, but what was interesting is around the issue of the PKTT, which again is a central feature in all of this. He couldn't reconcile why he approved the funding for the PKTT in March of 2024 if it was indeed his belief that this is a unit that should be disbanded, and we already saw he shared some audit results on the lack of robust investigations on the PKTT warranting its disbandment. So there was a whole range of other issues which then circled back to the central question around the PKTT.
Sure, but he's also saying that, hold on, you had a chief financial officer asking questions about this. You just didn't have the Marais study. You also had a chief financial officer. That was in March when he approved an additional budget. They didn't get the size of budget they wanted. He had his reservations. He may have felt that, this is not a battle worth fighting right now. I have my reservations. I'm still going to approve it. We'll fight this. It was only in November of the same year, I believe, where they had this crucial meeting. So from March to November, things changed and things shifted. This is when our minister on special leave came into the picture and started asking questions. This is where the police had their own to say about the inspectorate, for example. They had, and because part of the inspectorate job was to inspect and find out what's happening and make sure that the internal governance of the police and the standards are held. Why disband such an essential unit? Or division, it's not even a unit, it's a component of the police that makes sure that the police has the appropriate resources, are utilizing that resources appropriately, are following their internal procedures and protocols, and that it's internally regulated and governed. Why would such an essential component be removed? So if they haven't been functioning effectively, Sibiya is, I think, clamping at the bit to tell us a bit more about what it's like to work within the police and what it's like to be part of that central governance sector.
And all of that will be on full display come the 9:30 hour. Would it also signal the coming of the man, forthcoming, I think essentially is what Eldred is saying. He needs to be in the commission today. So day 64 is loading. We're going to drive back about 5.4 kilometers away to the Bridget Mabanda Justice College, and we'll see you there at the top of 8 o'clock. We're going into a break, and there are more news and views following that. Do stay with us.